Today, let us study the Word of God with a sermon titled, Why Did You Doubt? Think about the word doubt. When we have doubt in our mind, what are we lacking? When we are lacking in faith, doubt arises. Doubt always follows a person with little or no faith. Thomas, who had little faith, came to doubt. And Judas Iscariot had so much doubt that it led his soul to destruction. We can see these examples in the history of the early church. Let me give you another example of Peter. To make Peter's strong disposition a little bit gentle, Jesus walked on water towards the disciples who were on a boat during the fourth watch of the night. While other disciples were trembling, thinking that it was a ghost, Peter asked, "Is it you, my Lord?" To confirm that it was Jesus, he said, "If you are the Lord, please tell me to come to you on the water." And Jesus said, "Come." However, as Peter took a few steps, he became afraid, looking at the water at the tip of his feet. When he felt scared, his body began to sink into the water. As Peter sank into the water, he cried out, "Lord, please save me." Looking at Peter, Jesus said, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" If Peter had not doubted, but continued walking with faith, he would have received a better result. Though it was momentary, due to his lack of faith, Peter lost the opportunity to witness and experience the beautiful world of faith. Let us build up our faith towards God and give glory to Him every day. In this way, the question, "Why did you doubt God?" will never apply to us. The weather was extremely hot today and yesterday, wasn't it? Whenever it is extremely hot, it reminds us of hell. Thinking about hell also leads us to think about the other eternal place where there is no pain, doesn't it? Yes, we think about the kingdom of heaven. Regarding the matter of heaven and hell, people who have faith firmly believe that heaven and hell exist. However, unbelievers or people who lack faith do not believe that heaven and hell exist. They do not believe because they cannot see heaven and hell. Heaven and hell are worlds that are invisible to our naked eye, but they are places that we will see after our lives on earth. For this reason, numerous people come to doubt the existence of heaven and hell. Theoretically, they accept that such worlds exist in the Bible. However, they are disinterested when we encourage them to obey the words of God, saying, "Shouldn't we stop doing things that lead us to hell?" We should believe and put the teachings of God into practice in order to go to heaven. Of course, there are people who believe and obey the teachings of God. However, those who do not obey do not believe that heaven and hell exist. Then, why are most people not able to believe in heaven and hell? If they can see heaven and hell with their eyes, would they believe or not? They would believe. Then, one of the main reasons people cannot believe in heaven and hell is that those places are invisible. Everyone, let's think about it. Is there a country named the United States of America on earth? Can you see it with your eyes right now? If anyone here can see the United States with your eyes, please raise your hand. Though you cannot see it, don't you believe that it exists? You may think, though we cannot see it right now, the United States exists. We all believe this. Even those who have never been there also believe it exists. How then are we able to believe in a place that we cannot see? How did heaven and hell come to exist? God created them. People believe that the earth and the heavens were created by God. Nevertheless, they do not believe in the existence of heaven and hell, even though the same God who created the earth, the heavens, and everything in it, explains that heaven and hell exist. When people are asked why they do not believe, they answer, no one has ever seen heaven or hell. Everyone, if you meet someone who denies the existence of heaven and hell, please ask them, do you believe that Busan exists? They will reply, yes, I do. Even though we do not see Busan and the United States with our eyes, we still believe the fact that they exist. People who have never been to the United States or Busan certainly believe that those places exist. Heaven and hell. God, who created all these places and knows everything about them, let us know about such places. The fact that they are invisible to our eyes does not mean that these worlds do not exist, does it? The fact that something is inaudible does not mean that the sound does not exist, does it? There is a world invisible to our eyes and inaudible to our ears, but it certainly exists. The fact that heaven and hell are invisible to our eyes does not mean that they do not exist. The United States, which we cannot see, exists. The United Kingdom, which we cannot see, exists. And Africa, which we also cannot see, exists. In this way, they all exist. Then, shouldn't we escape from the fixed concept that we can only believe in the existence of something if it is confirmed with our eyes? According to their logic, they would think, since a world that I cannot see does not exist, then someone who I do not see now must also not exist. All of us must come out of this fallacy. Heaven and hell, do they exist? They absolutely exist. About 3,500 years ago, God already proved that His words are true in Job chapter 26 and 36. Even before modern-day scientists discovered the universal law of gravitation and the water cycle, God already recorded these scientific facts in the Bible. What did God do to the earth? He suspended the earth. God said that He suspended the earth in empty space. In those days, no one believed that to be true. They said, how can the earth be suspended in empty space? It is also written that the earth rotates and revolves. At that time, no one believed this, saying, if the earth is really rotating, how is it possible for people to remain upright without falling? However, with the advancement of science, we can now see that the earth is indeed suspended in empty space and rotating. It is also written that there is fire underneath the earth. It was not until recently that scientists discovered the earth's inner core is in fact made of lava and a ball of fire when they studied the layers of the earth. However, the Bible already let us know these facts 3,500 years ago. What do these facts teach us about all the words in the Bible? The contents of the Bible are real and true. Therefore, the Bible is not fiction. Then, what about heaven and hell? God, who gave us the Bible, let us know that heaven and hell exist, because they certainly exist. We must accept the facts that God recorded in the Bible for our understanding. We must follow the path of life that the Spirit and the bride are leading for our salvation. Even if it is 40 degrees Celsius, it is difficult to breathe and uncomfortable to sleep at night. Everyone, if you did not have an air conditioner or a fan, would you enjoy this kind of weather? What if you had to live in hell for 1 year? It would be agonizing. Would you be able to endure if the pain lasts not only for a year, 10 years, 100 years, or 1,000 years, but for eternity? For this reason, when God came to this earth, He said, if your hand sins, cut it off. If your foot sins, cut it off. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go to hell. Looking at these words, heaven and hell are not imaginary worlds that do not exist simply because we do not see them. Even for many places that do exist, we cannot see them now. Not only the United States, but we cannot even see Seoul from here. Even close cities like Seoul, we cannot see. These places cannot be seen, but certainly exist, don't they? Hell is a world that exists. Heaven is also a world that exists. To lead us to the eternal kingdom of heaven, our father and mother left their glorious throne without sparing anything. Let us give thanks to Father and Mother for their grace of coming down to this earth only for our salvation. Let's go to Luke chapter 16, verse 19. There was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. When the rich man was on the earth, he wore good clothes, ate good food, and enjoyed all good things. Even without following God, he lived comfortably as if he were living in heaven during his lifetime. However, our life on this earth is limited. Everything has a time limitation and comes to an end. The rich man thought he would enjoy that lifestyle forever, but he came to die and went to hell. However, there was a man who lived a totally opposite lifestyle. Verse 20. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side, that is, God's side. The rich man also died and was buried. In hell, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away, with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, "Father Abraham, have pity on me, and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire." Everyone, this is how the Bible describes hell. Can the pain and agony of hell be compared with the heat of 40 degrees Celsius? What about the heat of 50 degrees Celsius? Through the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, Jesus let us know that there certainly exists a world where there is unbearable, excruciating pain. As it is written, "I am in agony in this fire." The rich man was in extreme pain and suffering. Verse 25. But Abraham replied, "Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in agony, that is, pain. And besides all this, between us and you, a great chasm has been fixed, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from there to us." He answered, "Then I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so that they will not also come to this place of torment." Like this, the rich man begged God earnestly. Like people in the world, the rich man too believed that hell did not exist during his lifetime. However, after he died and was buried, that invisible world unfolded before his eyes. From that point on, heaven and hell became the reality. Everyone, I am sorry to bring up hell whenever the weather is hot. Even though such a world exists, we see how so many people still live their lives as if hell does not exist at all. We often see how people think it is acceptable to commit all kinds of evil and wrongful acts, saying, "Am I not a decent person?" However, at the end we will stand at the crossroads between heaven and hell. This is something we must keep in mind. Everyone, such worlds certainly exist. Since they surely exist, God showed the revelation to Apostle John, and even Jesus himself spoke about them. God repeatedly taught us not to go to the place of torment. Let us find one of his teachings in the Gospel of Mark. Let's see Mark chapter 9, verse 41. "I tell you the truth, anyone who gives you a cup of water in my name, because you belong to Christ, will certainly not lose his reward. And if anyone causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to be thrown into the sea with a large millstone tied around his neck. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life maimed than with 2 hands to go into hell, where the fire never goes out. And if your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life crippled than to have 2 feet and be thrown into hell. And if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. It is better for you to enter the kingdom of God with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into hell, where their worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. Everyone will be salted with fire. Here, we must once again pay close attention to the word of Jesus, who told us not to fall into hell. In that world, even though they seek death, will they be able to obtain it? No, death will escape them. Hell is a place where death escapes you. How excruciating and unbearable must it be that they want to die? We all must realize that such a world certainly exists. Every place and world that Jesus recorded in the Bible clearly exists. When God said that the earth is suspended in empty space, many people could not understand it with their knowledge. However, with the development of science, it was proven to be a fact. Also, water evaporates and forms clouds. When the clouds become dense, they precipitate, and the water comes back down to the earth as rain. However, ancient people did not understand this principle of the water cycle. They simply thought that rain was something that miraculously falls from the sky. About 3,500 years ago, people did not understand that water evaporates to the sky and that the water droplets condense there in order to form clouds. They did not know that this water returns to the earth as rain. Yet, at that time, God made it clear in the book of Job that through the water cycle, water ascends to the sky and eventually comes back down to the earth. In other words, there is nothing false about the words in the Bible. Then, do you think Jesus' teachings about heaven and hell are false? No, they are worlds that definitely exist. Everyone looks for an easy way to heaven. However, heaven is not a place we can easily enter. We will receive the kingdom of heaven at the end only when we follow Christ, carrying our cross and walking the path of suffering that the Spirit and the bride walk. That is why sometimes it is necessary for us to refrain from doing what everyone in the world does and enjoys. We must follow the laws of God that Christ granted to us so that we can receive the eternal kingdom of heaven, not the agony of hell. Let's take a look at Revelation chapter 20, verse 9. They marched across the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of God's people, the city He loves. But fire came down from heaven and devoured them. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. What will happen to them? They will be tormented day and night, forever and ever. What place is this? It is hell. Through the revelation given to Apostle John, God clearly showed that they will be tormented in eternal hell, day and night, forever. Let's go to Revelation chapter 19, verse 20. But the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet who had performed the miraculous signs on his behalf. With these signs he had deluded those who had received the mark of the beast and worshipped his image. The 2 of them were thrown alive into, what place were they thrown into? The fiery lake of burning sulfur. Everyone, through all this, let's ask ourselves, do countries that I have never been to not exist? Does the sun not exist because a blind person cannot see it? God created heaven and hell, But just because we have not been there or seen them, does it mean that such places do not exist? Heaven and hell definitely exist. Since God said that those who do the will of God can return to the eternal kingdom of heaven, I ask everyone to correctly follow and obey the will of our Father and Mother. Let us become great workers of the gospel of the new covenant. Hoping that you've received much grace, I would like to conclude today's sermon. Thank you very much.